Have you ever felt your heart race not because of danger in the wild, but because love is standing right in front of you? Some people run from love as if it were a predator, as if giving their heart is stepping into a trap. But what if I told you that running doesn't save you? It only hides you from the life you were meant to live. Love can feel like a storm, unpredictable, fierce, and overwhelming. For some, the idea of surrendering to it triggers fear, confusion, and a fight or flight response. But avoiding love doesn't protect you. It keeps you small, stuck, and far from the strength and connection your soul craves. Today, we uncover why some run and how facing love can transform you. Many people run from love because it forces them to confront a side of themselves they've long kept hidden. Vulnerability is terrifying. It feels like standing in the middle of an open field with no armor, exposed to winds you cannot predict. It's not just about the risk of heartbreak, it's about revealing every cracked edge, every insecurity, every fear that you've been holding close like a shield. For some, that exposure feels like danger, and the instinct is to retreat. But the truth is, vulnerability is not a weakness. It is the birthplace of extraordinary strength. When you allow yourself to be seen fully and unapologetically, you tap into a courage that is rare, pure, and transformative. Running from love is often running from the unknown within yourself. You fear that if you open your heart, the walls you've built so carefully over the years will crumble, leaving you defenseless. But here's the paradox: those walls, while meant to protect, also imprison. They keep you from experiencing the depth, the connection, and the joy that life is capable of offering. Every person who has ever stepped into love with an open heart has faced the same fear, the same internal alarms warning them to pull back. Yet those who lean into it, who take that leap despite trembling knees and a racing heart, discover a version of themselves they never knew existed. They find strength not in hiding, but in surrendering, not in controlling, but in trusting. Love tests you. It pushes you into territories where you must confront your past, your patterns, and the parts of yourself you've kept in the shadows. For someone unaccustomed to emotional honesty, this feels like walking into a storm without shelter. Every heartbeat carries the weight of uncertainty, every glance holds the possibility of pain. The temptation to run is powerful and seductive. But those who embrace this challenge understand that courage is not the absence of fear, it is moving forward in spite of it. The act of being vulnerable, of allowing another person to truly see you, is one of the most daring adventures a human being can undertake. It requires shedding layers of doubt, suspicion, and past hurt. It requires saying, "I am enough and I will meet life fully, even if it means being exposed." When someone finally chooses to face love, they realize that what once felt like danger is actually liberation. Vulnerability opens doors to trust, intimacy, and a connection that is profoundly human. It allows you to witness not only your own resilience, but also the beauty of shared humanity. The heart that dares to open experiences a depth of emotion that those who hide behind walls cannot imagine. Every act of trust, every small gesture of courage, strengthens the soul and creates a ripple effect that touches not only personal relationships, but every corner of life. It is important to remember that love does not demand perfection, only presence. Being vulnerable does not mean you are weak, it means you are awake. You are willing to confront the raw, unpolished parts of yourself and say, "I am here. I am ready." Those who run miss out on this profound awakening. They may think they are protecting themselves, but in truth, they are limiting the extraordinary potential of their hearts. Opening yourself to love, even when it scares you, is not surrender. It is the ultimate expression of strength. It is saying, "I refuse to be ruled by fear. I choose life, connection, and growth." The fear that drives people away from love is not permanent. It can be faced, challenged, and transformed. Every step toward love, no matter how small, builds resilience, courage, and a deeper understanding of yourself. The heart that once trembled in fear begins to realize that true safety is not in isolation, but in the brave act of being seen. Running may feel protective in the moment, But standing firm, opening fully, and embracing vulnerability is what leads to real power, fulfillment, and a life lived without regret. In this way, love becomes less about risk and more about awakening to the unstoppable force within you, a force that grows only when you have the courage to face it head-on. Fear of rejection is one of the most powerful forces that can make a person run from love. It's a fear that cuts deep because it's personal. It touches the very core of our self-worth. To love is to risk being seen, and to be seen is to open yourself to judgment, to the possibility that the other person may not respond in kind. The mind warns, protect yourself. Don't get close. Don't let them in. And so, like a cornered animal sensing a predator, many retreat. Yet this fear, as intense as it feels, is a sign of your own capacity to care, to invest, to connect deeply. It is proof that your heart is alive, sensitive, and capable of profound connection. The fear of rejection is rarely just about one person's opinion or one failed relationship. It is a culmination of past hurts, old wounds, and internalized messages from childhood, society, or previous heartbreaks. Each rejection you've ever experienced leaves a mark, a memory etched into your psyche, whispering that love equals pain. But here lies the secret: rejection is not a measure of your value. It is merely feedback, a guidepost showing you that not every path will lead to fulfillment. Every encounter, even those that end in no, carries lessons, teaches resilience, and sharpens your understanding of what you truly deserve. Running from love to avoid rejection is like refusing to climb a mountain because the first step seems steep. The risk of a stumble may be present, but so is the possibility of reaching the summit, of standing tall, breathless, and victorious. Those who face rejection, and even embrace it, discover something remarkable: the heart is stronger than we give it credit for. Each experience of being seen, even if it doesn't end perfectly, builds courage. Every moment you allow yourself to be vulnerable, to risk disapproval, to show who you truly are, reinforces a sense of inner power that no external validation can ever provide. The people who run from rejection often deceive themselves into thinking that avoidance equals safety. They believe that if they don't put themselves out there, they won't feel pain. But this is an illusion. Avoidance may shield the heart temporarily, but it also robs you of growth, joy, and connection. The more you hide, the more your potential remains untapped, your true self unexpressed. Rejection only becomes dangerous if you let it define you. Otherwise, it is simply a teacher, guiding you toward authenticity, strength, and the right relationships that will honor your worth. When you face the fear of rejection, you also embrace the beauty of being fully human. You begin to understand that being hurt is not the same as being broken, and being turned down does not make you unlovable. It is the willingness to step forward despite uncertainty that cultivates resilience, self-respect, and clarity. Over time, each step toward love, even if met with rejection, cements the truth that your heart is resilient, capable of weathering storms, and worthy of connection. Choosing to confront this fear is an act of bravery that reshapes your entire life. You stop letting imagined what-ifs control your actions. Instead, you move forward with intention, guided by courage rather than avoidance. You realize that love is never truly dangerous, fear is temporary, but the power you gain from facing it is lasting. Each time you risk rejection, you teach yourself that your worth is not conditional on someone else's approval. You reinforce the belief that your heart is strong enough to survive and even thrive no matter the outcome. Ultimately, the fear of rejection loses its grip when you recognize that love is not a game of perfect outcomes. It is an adventure of the soul, a journey of discovery where the act of showing up matters more than the response you receive. Rejection, when faced head-on, becomes a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. And as you continue to face it with courage, you begin to attract the kind of love that honors your strength, your authenticity, and your willingness to be fully, powerfully alive. In this way, the fear that once held you back transforms into a catalyst for growth, and running is replaced with the unshakable confidence that you are capable of receiving and giving love without apology. Many people flee from love because it demands an honesty they are not ready to face, an honesty that shines a bright, unflinching light on the parts of themselves they've kept hidden for years. To love fully requires not only opening your heart to another, but also opening your eyes to your own truths. It means acknowledging fears, insecurities, and past wounds that you might prefer to ignore. For someone unaccustomed to facing themselves with such clarity, this confrontation feels like walking through fire. It's uncomfortable, intense, and even terrifying, but it is also the only path to true freedom. When love asks you to be honest, it doesn't just test your commitment to another person, it tests your commitment to yourself. Running is a defense mechanism, a way to avoid the discomfort of self-reflection. You might think, if I hide, if I stay distant, I can protect myself from judgment, rejection, or exposure. But in reality, hiding only prolongs the inner conflict. It keeps you from discovering who you really are, who you can be, and the heights your heart can reach. The act of confronting yourself, facing your truths without flinching, is the same act that allows love to grow and thrive. Love forces you to stare into the shadows of your own heart, to meet the parts you've denied, ignored, or judged. It asks difficult questions. What do you want? What are you afraid of? Who are you when no one is watching? Running from these questions may feel safe in the short term, but it is a trap that prevents growth. Every step into honest self-reflection strengthens you, even if it feels painful at first. You begin to recognize that you are more resilient, capable, and whole than you ever imagined. Love doesn't destroy you. It illuminates the strength you've been hiding from, even from yourself. The fear of confronting your own truths is amplified when someone else's heart is involved. Vulnerability is no longer a private struggle, it becomes a shared experience. The thought of letting another person see your unpolished edges can make your chest tighten and your instincts scream, "Retreat!" But it is precisely in these moments, when your fear peaks, that courage is born. Choosing to stay, to communicate, to reveal your authentic self is not weakness. It is bravery of the highest order. Love becomes a mirror, reflecting back not only your strengths but also the areas that need growth. And facing both is what transforms ordinary hearts into extraordinary ones. Some people run because they equate honesty with criticism or failure. They worry that revealing their flaws will make them unlovable. Yet the opposite is true. Honesty builds intimacy, trust, and connection. It allows love to exist on solid ground rather than fragile illusions. When you embrace this truth, you stop hiding behind masks and begin to live in alignment with your deepest values. You realize that the courage to face your inner world and to let someone else witness it is the most powerful form of love there is. The journey towards self-honesty and openness may feel like climbing a mountain barefoot. Each step is uncertain, each breath feels heavy, and the path seems steep and treacherous. But with every step, you gain balance, resilience, and clarity. You begin to see that running never protected you. It only delayed the growth and joy that come from embracing life fully. Facing your truths allows you to connect with others in a way that is unshakable, authentic, and life-affirming. Ultimately, running from love because it forces honesty is like fleeing from sunlight. You may escape the initial heat, but you also miss the light, warmth, and nourishment it brings. When you choose to face yourself, to embrace your fears, and to be vulnerable, you awaken a power within that is unstoppable. Love ceases to feel dangerous, it becomes a force that strengthens, elevates, and transforms. It challenges you not to break, but to rise. To meet life and relationships with courage, authenticity, and a heart wide open to everything it has to offer. Many people run from love because they crave control, clinging to the illusion that keeping emotions at a distance will protect them from chaos or pain. Control feels safe, it's a familiar anchor in a world that is unpredictable and often harsh. But life, and love, refuses to be controlled. The moment you step towards someone with an open heart, you enter a realm where outcomes are uncertain, where the path twists and turns in ways you cannot predict. For many, this uncertainty feels like danger, and the instinct is to pull back, to retreat into the comfort of the known. But in truth, clinging to control only limits the scope of your experiences and the depth of your growth. Love is wild, untamed, and unpredictable, and it demands that you surrender to the moment rather than try to dictate it. When you embrace love fully, you discover that you are stronger than any uncertainty. The challenges you face in relationships, misunderstandings, disagreements, unexpected changes, are not threats to your safety. They are opportunities to build resilience, to develop patience, and to learn how to navigate the storms of life with grace and courage. The act of letting go of control is not a sign of weakness, it is a declaration of strength. It is the courage to meet life head on, to trust in yourself, and to trust in the connection you are building. The fear of losing control often masks a deeper fear of vulnerability. People worry that if they let someone in completely, their emotions, their identity, or even their sense of self will be swept away by circumstances they cannot manage. Yet, the paradox of love is that surrendering control does not diminish you, it amplifies you. You learn to dance with uncertainty, to adapt, and to remain centered no matter what challenges arise. In doing so, you cultivate a power that is not about dominance or manipulation, but about inner stability and the ability to thrive amid unpredictability. Running from love to maintain control is like standing at the edge of a river, afraid to cross, convinced that if you step in, the current will overwhelm you. The truth is, the river does not destroy you, it carries you forward, teaching you balance, timing, and trust. Every moment you choose to let go, every time you allow yourself to be present without forcing outcomes, you strengthen your heart and your spirit. You begin to understand that love is not something to be tamed. It is something to be embraced, something that teaches you resilience, courage, and the art of surrender. Control also limits intimacy. True connection cannot exist where fear of unpredictability dominates. When you release the need to control, you allow relationships to grow organically. You begin to communicate more openly, listen more deeply, and respond more authentically. Love becomes a shared journey rather than a series of calculated steps. It challenges you, yes, but it also elevates you, showing you that life's greatest rewards often lie on paths that cannot be managed or predicted. Ultimately, those who run from love because of control are running from life itself. They may protect themselves from temporary discomfort, but they also miss the chance to experience the fullness of connection, the thrill of mutual discovery, and the transformative power of shared vulnerability. When you let go, even just a little, you step into a freedom that is exhilarating and empowering. You realize that love is not the danger, it is the ultimate teacher, the force that shapes courage, resilience, and a heart capable of facing any storm. Surrender to it, and you awaken a power within that no fear, no uncertainty, and no obstacle can ever diminish. Many people run from love because they fear losing themselves in the process. They worry that opening their hearts completely will somehow erase who they are, that in giving, they will be consumed or diminished. This fear is deeply human. After all, loving someone fully requires time, energy, and emotional exposure. Yet the irony is that running to protect your identity often leaves it stagnant, untested, and incomplete. True love does not demand that you vanish into another person. It demands that you show up fully, bringing all of who you are, and in doing so, discovering a strength and depth you could never find alone. The fear of losing oneself stems from a misunderstanding of what love actually does. Many believe that connection equals sacrifice, that intimacy requires surrendering personal dreams, desires, or individuality. But real love does not seek to take, it seeks to expand. It magnifies your essence rather than diminishing it. When you allow yourself to love fully, you begin to see that your identity is not a fragile possession, but a dynamic force capable of growth, adaptation, and profound resilience. Love does not dilute you. It illuminates your core, revealing dimensions of yourself that only emerge when you are willing to engage deeply with another soul. Running from love to maintain identity often feels safe because it creates a boundary, a sense of control. You can convince yourself that by keeping your distance, you are preserving your independence, protecting your passions, and safeguarding your autonomy. Yet the paradox is that love, when approached with courage and clarity, does not threaten autonomy, it enhances it. It teaches you balance, how to give without losing, how to share without surrendering, and how to remain fully yourself while connecting fully with another. The act of embracing love becomes an act of self-mastery, a testament to your ability to navigate complexity without fear. Some avoid love because they fear being reshaped, believing that another's presence might overwrite their story. But love does not overwrite, it co-authors. It invites collaboration, not erasure. Every relationship challenges you to evolve, to stretch, and to become more than you were before. When you embrace love rather than flee from it, you begin to see that it is not a threat to your identity. It is a catalyst for growth. The person you become in love is not less than who you were. They are more, richer, stronger, and more attuned to life's possibilities. The journey toward embracing love without fear of losing oneself is a courageous one. It requires trust in yourself, your values, your boundaries, and your ability to remain grounded. Each step you take toward authentic connection reinforces your identity rather than diluting it. You discover that love asks not for surrender of self, but for the courage to be fully known, fully expressed, and fully alive. In this way, love becomes a mirror, reflecting not only the beauty of the person you care for, but also the immense strength, creativity, and resilience within you. Ultimately, the fear of losing oneself is an illusion that fades when you experience love in its truest form. Love does not take, it amplifies. It reveals that your identity is not fragile, but unshakable when nurtured with courage and authenticity. Running may feel safe in the moment, but it is in the act of stepping forward, of giving and receiving fully, that you realize your power. Love strengthens who you are, awakens your deepest potential, and transforms fear into freedom. When you stop running, you stop hiding, and you discover that your truest self is not only preserved in love, but elevated by it, standing taller and braver than ever before. Many people run from love without realizing that love itself is not the danger. They are running from the power it holds to transform them. Love is the ultimate teacher, the force that challenges, stretches, and awakens the heart. When you allow yourself to fully experience it, you discover a strength you never knew existed, a resilience that no hardship or fear can diminish. Those who flee believe that keeping distance will protect them, but in reality, avoidance only prolongs the struggle, leaving the heart restless, unfulfilled, and yearning for a connection it is too afraid to claim. Love is not something to be tamed or controlled. It is something to be embraced, a force that tests your courage and calls forth your highest potential. Every moment spent opening your heart, even when uncertain or afraid, strengthens your spirit. When you stop running, you learn that the fear you once felt was not a barrier but a signal, a marker showing you where growth, bravery, and transformation await. The act of facing love head-on teaches you that vulnerability is not a weakness, that trust is not naivete, and that connection is not a trap, but a path to discovering the full extent of your own strength. Those who avoid love often forget that life's greatest rewards come from risk, not safety. The heart that faces love, even amidst uncertainty, learns lessons no retreat can ever teach. It discovers patience, empathy, and the ability to navigate both joy and disappointment with grace. Each encounter, each choice to open up rather than hide, becomes a building block in a foundation of resilience and self-assurance. The bravery to love fully reshapes your identity. It allows you to stand taller, think clearer, and feel more deeply than ever before. Love calls you to confront the illusions that have kept you small. It strips away excuses, fears, and defensive walls, forcing you to meet life authentically. Running may provide temporary comfort, but it prevents you from experiencing the profound beauty and depth that connection brings. When you step into love, you are stepping into the ultimate adventure, A journey that challenges every limit you thought you had and awakens a force within you that cannot be contained. It is in this space of openness and courage that the human spirit truly thrives. To stop running is to choose life itself. It is to recognize that the unknown is not a threat but an invitation. It is to understand that love, at its core, is not a predator but a companion, guiding you toward courage, growth, and a life lived with intensity and purpose. Every heartbeat, every act of trust, every moment of daring vulnerability becomes proof of your inner power. In embracing love, you realize that the greatest danger is not in connection, but in fleeing from the very experiences that shape and elevate your soul. Ultimately, those who stop running find that love does not diminish them, it strengthens them. It transforms fear into courage, uncertainty into clarity, and hesitation into action. It reveals the unstoppable force within, the part of you capable of facing life's storms with an open heart and unshakable confidence. Love becomes not just an emotion, but a catalyst, a fire that awakens the best within you, compelling you to rise, to risk, and to live fully. When you stop running from love, you stop running from yourself, and in that moment, you step into a power, a purpose, and a life that is truly extraordinary.